Bakugou was flat off pissed. He was currently behind the steering wheel, mulling over the fact that he had just received a phone call from you while he was fast asleep. It was currently 4 a.m., and you had asked him to come pick you up. What the what was that girl honestly thinking, calling him so late in the night? Not only that, you were drunk. With his usual deep frown on his face, he sped off into the dark road, going way over the speed limit to express his current rage. Or maybe he was driving so quickly because he was worried about you. He shook his head from the thought. Why would he be worried over an idiot like you? He was only going to pick you up because he owed you something, and he always hated being in debt to people. Oh, he was definitely going to give you a piece of his mind once he found you. He finally arrived at the place that you told him to go to. It was some sleazy looking hotel in the middle of nowhere. His immediate thought had then went to where you were exactly. If you were in one of those hotel rooms with some scumbag. Rage and anger fueling within him, he pulled into the parking lot and angrily stomped out of the car. You were definitely going to get an earful from him. You two may not be together, but how dare you be such an idiot and go hang out with some random guys in the middle of the night? He was a pro hero for heaven's sake, not some babysitter. He found your friend's car and knew that you had to be nearby. The closer he walked towards the car, the more he felt like he was going to explode. Then he saw a figure laying there on the ground right beside your friend's car, and all thoughts that he had previously about scolding you were thrown out the window. He immediately started sprinting towards the figure once he was certain that the person who laid there was you. Hey, why are you on the ground? Bakugou yelled at you as his crimson eyes made contact with your own beady eyes. You gave him a smile as you giggled softly. You looked pretty comfortable lying down on the concrete. You came for me, Katsuki. Ignoring the fact that you had just called him by his first name and the overwhelming amount of relief to find you safe, he squatted down and stared at you with an unreadable expression. Why are you lying on the ground? He asked in a more calm tone. It's more comfy than staying in the car, you replied futilely. He could tell you were drunk by the slurring of your words. He sighed before putting his arms underneath your body and lifted you up, your frame pressed up against his. Snuggling up into his chest, you sighed contentedly. I'm glad you came for me. Yeah, and he was glad he found you before anyone else did. Looking around, your friend was nowhere in sight. Where on earth is your friend? Oh, she's hooking up with someone right now, you mumbled into his jacket. It's a shame, too. He was really cute, but she snatched him before I could. An unknown feeling washed up with Bakugo. He felt kind of hurt that you just said that. But why did he care? Like you said, you two weren't together, and you were free to get with whoever you wanted. And then you started tearing up, the sight making him freeze. Of course he would pick her. She's smart and funny and beautiful. For some reason, she shoved me into this car once I spent forever looking for her. So she just left you here? Bakugo asked coldly. What kind of friend would leave a drunk girl at 4 a.m. like this? Yeah, and our car is so cramped and hot. That's why I was laying on the ground. I felt lonely too, so I ended up calling you. He sighed, understanding the situation now. You got ditched by your friend so she could hook up with someone else. When you were so drunk like this, he knew you couldn't be left alone. How long has she been gone for? I don't know. You slurred and rubbed your face into his shirt. You loved the way he smelled. Maybe an hour or two. What? She left you alone for that long? He got angry, but his face was also hot the way you rubbed into him so affectionately. Isn't it girl code or something to never leave a drunk friend alone, especially not to hook up with a dude? He also felt angry that you were left all alone and exposed to any sleazy guy who could have taken advantage of your current state. He smiled sleepily. I didn't know you knew what girl codes are. He sighed again, only this time to calm himself. You're lucky I'm here to take you home. Yeah, I am. You looked at him with your colored eyes. It was dark, so he couldn't see much, but he knew you had been crying from how red and swollen they were. Thank you, Bakugo, he said in a more sober tone, then curled up into his arms. He didn't say anything as he knew you were drifting into sleep. He just prayed you didn't hear the pounding of his chest from where you were in his arms. He just silently placed you in the passenger seat of his car, buckling you up, and started driving you back to your home. When you aroused again, the sun was starting to rise. You glanced at Bakugou, quietly driving the car. He looked beautiful with the way the orange sunrise illuminated his blonde hair and crimson eyes, and your deep feelings for him swelled like a balloon. Bakugou, you let out quietly. You were still tipsy, but more sober now. You felt sick and tired, and there was a pounding headache that made you feel horrible. He glanced at you before reaching over and handing you a bottle of water. Drink up, it'll help you feel better. Mm. You let out, clumsily opening the cap and taking a sip. Thinking about the events of the previous night, you couldn't control the words as they emotionally flowed out of you. Bakugo, do you think I'm ugly? There was a brief silence before he replied, why are you asking that? You laid your head on his chair, your hair tickling his arm as your words slurred even more. I thought that hanging out with a bunch of guys would make me feel better about myself, but then I realized that none of them looked at me. All their eyes were on my friend. I even did my makeup and dressed nicely today, but they weren't even remotely interested. Bakugo said nothing. He tensed up once you started to suddenly sob, moving away from his side to cry into your hands. Am I really that repulsive? He was about to say something before you started grasping his arm tightly. Stop the car, I need to throw up, he suddenly yelled out, not wanting you to puke in his car. He quickly pulled over to the side of the road, which was in the middle of nowhere. You swing open his door and drop to the dirt ground, puking your guts out. As you puked your guts out, you heard his footsteps approach you, and you felt his warm hands hold your hair up. It was humiliating for the very least, and you couldn't help but feel bad. You started sniffling as tears poured down your face from the puking, and overall in general being sad. I'm so sorry, Bakugo. What are you apologizing about now? You started sobbing as you looked up at him. His blank expression only made you feel worse. I'm so sorry for being a bother. I'm so sorry for having you see me like this. He sighed before he took you into his arms, actively avoiding your emesis on the ground. You're not a bother, he said softly as you cried into his arms. You're never a bother, Wyatt. You fell asleep back in his car soon after that. He forced you to drink a few more sips of water before you passed out again in the passenger side. After 30 minutes, he carried your sleeping body into your apartment, digging into your purse to find your keys. He then laid you carefully down in your bed, taking your shoes off. He noticed your phone that was buzzing several times. It was your friend sending you message after message, wondering where you were. Quickly sending a message back, he wrote, Bakugo here, screw off. He smirked at the message before throwing the phone in your purse to ignore the angry messages that followed. He was sure you were going to give him an earful once you actually woke up. Bakugo then goes to your kitchen to grab you a water bottle of cold water. You were surely going to need it when you woke up, placing it beside your bedside. He then placed a trash can nearby just in case you felt a little sick again. Finally, after wrapping you in your favorite blanket, he sits on the side of your bed, letting out an annoyed grunt once he realized how he just played housemaid for you. He seriously wished you had not gone out with your friend tonight. Not only did it ruin his sleep, but it was more damaging to your emotional health than anything. But all feelings of anger dwindled down and he stared at your sleeping face. He stroked your hair softly, chuckling when you let out a soft smile in your sleep from his touch. Lion, Bakugo called out. There was no response, and then he finally said it. I think you're an idiot going out and getting screwed up like this. There was no reply again, so he continued. But I think you're a beautiful idiot, and I'm an even bigger idiot for you. Bakugo gets up from the bed and then goes to leave. Little did he know that you had heard everything he said, blush tinging on your face as you heard your apartment door click softly.